Hey, what's up guys? It's Cypher from cypherpk.com, and today I'm bringing you two variations of the Magicka Nightblade build that I've been working on over the past week on Twitch. And the first variation I'm going to show you is a 2H resto. I've been getting a lot of questions regarding 2H, and I'll get into that in a second. The other variation is the Destro resto. They're both pretty similar, but they definitely play differently. Like, they have the same armor sets, very similar abilities, but they play differently because of their stat differences and the fact that you're using a 2H and a Destro on either one. Let's start off with the 2H one. I like to make these short and to the point so we don't waste too much time. On our front bar, this is our 2H bar, we have Impale as an execute, Concealed Weapon, Lotus Fan, Sap Essence, Dark Cloak, Soul Harvest. Now, Soul Harvest is actually really important at this patch on both Stamina and Magicka Nightblade because the damage is lower, so you do want to fight through heals a little better, and Soul Harvest helps you finish off Templars and other people who are heavily reliant on heals. So it also gives you a 20% DPS boost for 6 seconds, and it really helps you with this build considering how much spell damage you have and the amount of damage you can pull out with Proxy Debt and all that good stuff. So Sap Essence is giving us our 20% spell damage bonus. It's also a nice AoE, and we're not running Mark with this approach. You can run Mark if you want to, but we're not. And Sap Essence helps me against other Nightblades. I get to pull them out of Cloak a lot easier. So, and also when you pop your Bat Swarm, because this is a vampire build, when you pop your Bat Swarm, if you want to do some AoE damage with your Swarm and Sap, you can do that. Just swap back to this bar and start spamming Sap Essence. On our back bar, we have Proxy Debt. Now, if you don't have Proxy Debt, I know a lot of people don't have it yet, so you can run Mark Target here instead. Crippling Grasp. Now, this one, you can throw it out if you want to, but personally for me, I find it really important. It does two things. One, it helps you kite your opponents better, especially if you're going against a melee, like a stamina build. You can root them, force them to dodge roll before they can charge into you. On top of that, it's just consistent damage. Like, you need consistent damage in this game, especially this patch, because you can't rely just on burst. You need some consistent DPS, and that's what Cripple offers. It's a pretty heavy-hitting dot. It gives you 8% Major Expedition, 8 seconds of Major Expedition, which is 40% movement speed. And it does a lot of damage, and it also immobilizes, so it's definitely worth it. On top of that, you do need a siphoning ability on your bar, so Crippling Grasp is going to be here for that siphoning, 8% extra Magicka for that passive. Double Take. Double Take is giving us 20% dodge chance and 40% movement speed. Now, I know these two do not stack. I know that, but the thing is, Crippling Grasp is an offensive movement speed ability. You cast it against a player, you get the movement speed. Double Take, you can get the movement speed without actually being in a fight, or without actually hitting an opponent. So while you're retreating or moving around the battlefield, Double Take is really useful. Healing Ward. Now, Healing Ward is not as good as it used to be. Definitely the shield nerf and heal nerf definitely hit it hard, but it's still a decent heal. It still gets the job done, and if you use it properly with your Cloak, cast your Healing Ward, go into Cloak, and let it proc, even if you have to Cloak once or twice to let it proc, it's the best way to go. Now, you could put Blessing and Restoration, but personally, I don't think it's a better approach because with the Healing Ward, at least you won't be critted. They can't crit you while you have your shield up. So if you have it up, you negate some of the crit damage that could be possibly coming to you. And it's harder to get your health back because you have to wait 6 seconds. But that's why you have to use your Cloak and your Shadow Image properly. Now, Shadow Image, one of my favorite Nightblade abilities, it helps me survive. I don't have to run Purge because, yeah, when you get marked, it's a pain in the ass. But a lot of times, Shadow Image can help you get out of sticky situations. It's really useful in offensively and defensively. You can drain stamina with it. You can run away from opponents, juke out opponents, and it helps you survive when your Cloak can't get the job done. Now, we also have Clouding Swarm. Clouding Swarm is going to be the Vampire ultimate. This build is Vampire. Now, you can play without Vampire if you want to. It's perfectly acceptable. You lose out on some of the bonuses, but the bonuses aren't extremely great, but it fits my playstyle really well, in my opinion. So, Clouding Swarm, you go into your Clouding Swarm, that synergizes with your Concealed Weapon. So once you swap back to your 2H bar after you hit Clouding Swarm, every single person you hit with your Concealed, if they're not CCing you, they're going to be stunned. So it's a really great offensive combo. If you watched my video that I posted yesterday, you'll see me use that combo to finish off a few opponents. Now, the video I posted yesterday was a Resto Destro. It was the Resto Destro approach to this build, so it's a little different, but we're going to go over that right now. I'm actually going to show you both variations and then go into the armor sets because of the fact that the armor sets are the same and so are the champion tree layouts. They're pretty much the same. The only major difference would be you'd put more points into the Destro staff, heavy attack, and light attacks, but that's not 100% like mandatory. So let's switch to to the Destro really quickly. Now with the Destro approach, you actually do not run proxy det, because with the Destro approach, it becomes a ranged build. You don't run Lotus Fan, you don't run proxy det. You have your Crippling Grasp right here. You can drop Impale. Now Impale, you could put it back if you want to, and some people really like to play with an Execute. I play just fine without an Execute with this approach because of the fact that you have so much consistent damage. Like you can pretty much spam the crap out of Swallow Soul to get your just consistent DPS down, and Crippling Grasp with Swallow Soul. Soul Harvest. On top of that, we have extra damage coming in from Merciless Resolve. Now this could act as an Execute. This can act as an Execute because of the fact that after 4 light attacks, you get to shoot out Merciless Resolve, and you have that buff up for 20 seconds. You could probably get the 4 light attacks off between anywhere from 5 to 8 seconds, and then you have 12 seconds to kind of use it as an Execute. It does a lot of damage. I've hit over 15k with this before. I'm pretty sure I can get it higher if I stack my spell damage higher. It's really good. Treat it like a Crystal Fragment. Treat it like an Execute. It helps you, with sustained damage, and it's a really good buff. So the front bar looks like that. The back bar, now on the back bar, what we have is you should run Sap because of the fact that you need that siphoning ability. But on top of that, you can run siphoning attacks. This is going to help you sustain a lot better. The reason we don't use siphoning attacks in the build before this is because of the fact that, first of all, you're not doing as many light attacks. With the Destro build, you're constantly doing light attacks. You're proccing that. You're getting 1k Magicka and stamina for every light attack you shoot out, with a 10% chance on regular abilities to get you 2k Magicka and stamina back. So that's really great. Now, Sap Essence, the reason I have Sap is you can run Mark with this build, but if you duel, you'll drop siphoning attacks. Sap Essence helps you against other Nightblades to pull them out of Cloak. That's really useful. Now, if you don't like Sap Essence because you don't want to be up in personal with anyone you're going against, you can go with Structured Entropy. That works as well. Now, this build does not have to be a vampire. You can actually run this build with non-vampire as well. You can put Meteor down for just more, AoE distance damage. Because this build's all about, kiting your opponents and killing them with constant DPS pressure. Now, let's go into the armor sets really quickly. Now, we are running 4-piece Kaganax Hope. 1, 2, 3, 4, along with Kaganax weapons. Now with the 2H, it's also a Kaganax sword. The 2H is also a Kaganax sword, so it's the 5th piece comes from the weapons. We also got 3-piece Archmage with Divines. 1, 2, 3. Now I run all Divines. That might not be the best approach, but it gives me a crap ton of regen because I'm using the Atronach Mundstone. You can use the Apprentice Mundstone for more spell damage, and I've stacked my spell damage over 3,500, which is really good. But you lose a lot of your sustain, and you're forced to use and rely on siphoning attacks. But that's an option if you want to play a more ganky approach, just like one-hit wonder type of deal. But if you want sustain, you definitely want to go with the Atronach. Willpower Jewelry, all spell damage. Now, I know that these Kaganack in particular, it could be improved. Like there could be some different sets that could give us more spell damage. But because we have newer sets coming out really soon, I don't want to waste too much money on new sets right now when we have sets like Julianos White, which is basically a Hunding's Rage for spell damage. That's coming out next patch. So I want to wait until next patch before I decide to change up any of the gear sets or make any new sets for that matter on any of my builds. The stats, we have this regen. This is with drinks. I typically don't run with drinks. Some people probably do want to run with drinks. It's really easy to run out of stats and Magicka with this build. It doesn't have the greatest sustain in the world, but it has really good damage, and if you play it properly, you won't need that much sustain because you can finish off your opponents quickly. But if you find yourself getting into a pretty long fight, you're going to need to do a couple of heavy restos and some just stalling with Shadow Image and Cloak so that you can get your resources back. That's how I play. If you don't like to play that way, you can definitely go with drinks over over food. But I'm running food, and with foods I get 34.7k max Magicka, 24.7k max health. That's a really good amount of max health considering we have no points in the health and no attributes in the health. But we're in Imperial. Now the best race for this build, in my opinion, is High Elf. But High Elf, Imperial, Breton, even Khajiit can make this work. Any race can basically make this work. But those are my top picks. 14.7k stamina, 1900 magic recovery, 2k on the back bar because of Batstorm. We are using the Atronach Mundstone. We are stage 4 Vampire. Now, let's go into champion points really quickly. Over here we have 36 points into reducing the cost of Magicka spells. That's really important. We have 90 points into Magicka recovery. 90 points. Now I'm considering putting less points in Magicka recovery and more into cost reduction, but I gotta do some number crunching before I decide to do that. But for now I have 90 points in Magicka recovery. This build is not heavily CP reliant. You don't have to have a lot of CP to make this work, but at the same time, having a lot of CPU does help. I mean, it just does help. That's the fact of the matter. Set 8 points to tumbling. I find myself not running out of stamina too much as long as I don't, dodge roll that much. But I feel like a lot of times when I do die, it's because I do run out of stamina, and I do want to put more points into here just so I can counteract that a little bit better. So tumbling, 8 points. 10 points into blessed. Now this comes in handy a little better with the Destro Resto approach because you have Swallow Soul as well as Healing Ward as well as Sap Essence. With the 2H you don't necessarily have to put 10 points into here because it's not going to be that big of a difference. 31 points into Elfborn. This can give us the crit chance. 1 point in Spell Erosion. 16 into Staff Expert. I've actually been playing with the 2H with 16 points into Staff Expert. So if you're playing with the 2H, you don't want to put these 16 in here. If you're playing with the 2H, you want to put the 16 into Thaumaturge or Elfborn. We have 75 points into Thaumaturge, which is going to give us our, magic damage. So it's very heavy on Thaumaturge. 25 points into reducing critical damage. It's really important because you don't have that many shields. You're not running Harness. You're getting crit a lot because your Healing Ward is reactive. You have to go low health and then activate Healing Ward. So you will get crit initially. This is going to help you. 68 points in Hardy, 21 into Elemental Defender. Now, some of you might be surprised I don't have a lot into Elemental Defender considering I am a vampire, but the thing is, there's not that many DKs out there, and DKs were the biggest defender for vampire. When I used to play my DK, my Magic DK a lot, rest in peace Magic DK, when I used to play him a lot, I would eat up vampires because my whips would be hitting like 8k crit, which is amazing, right? But now it's like, there's not that many DKs out there, so put most of my points into Hardy. 20 points into quick recovery, just for extra healing. That's going to help for Healing Ward and for Sap Essence and Swallow Soul. So that's my champion layout. I have 400 champion points if you're interested. You could pretty much, if you have 100, just like divide everything by 4. If you have 200, divide everything by 2. Put it in like that. That'll work. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's pretty much the build. It's the Magicka Nightblade build. I've only been playing this for about a week, but in this week, I've had so much fun. On top of that, I've had a lot of 1vx, and I've been playing pretty confidently with it. Someone left a comment on my video yesterday, like, Cypher, like, you only played this build for like 4 hours. You're already going to make a build video about it. Like, what's up with that? Where's the testing, bro? I never test my builds for more than 4 hours. I fix them later on. Like, I might upgrade them, make them better, but usually the core build is the same exact thing because after I play with it for a few hours, I know what it's capable of doing. I played this game long enough to understand what a build is capable of doing just within a few hours. Of course, you can min-max and stuff like that, but I'm not hardcore into min-maxing. I usually just play whatever I'm comfortable with playing. And sometimes when I make build updates, I'll make another video saying, hey guys, I updated this build in this way and that way if the change is big enough. But this build is definitely very solid. It's very strong. It has 1vx capabilities. It has 1v1 capabilities. The weaknesses are there, but you can work around it. And hopefully you guys go out there and kick some butt with this build. I'll be uploading more videos with the Magicka Nightblade coming soon. Now, I know some of you are wondering, where's the DK builds? We had the DK week. It was not very successful because what I was trying to do wasn't to prove that I can 1vx with a DK stamina or Magicka. That's not what I was trying to prove because I can do that. Like, I can play the DK long enough to figure out some setups and start 1vxing. But what I was trying to do during that week was make a DK build that plays on the same level as a Stamina Nightblade or Magicka Nightblade or Stam Sork and Magicka Sork when it came to solo play. Templars have the same issue, but Templars, they have other benefits that make them a little tankier and even better than DK when it comes to solo play at times. But that's just the way it is right now. DK buffs will be coming in soon. I'm going to be revisiting the DK even before the buffs come in. I'm going to be revisiting it and giving it another go and figuring out some stuff. But my goal at the end is to make the DK a DK build that competes in solo play with my Magicka Sork, Magicka Nightblade, Stam Sork, or Stam Nightblade. So thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to have more videos coming out soon. My Templar is actually going to be V1 today. So he's going to be V16 in like two weeks at most, hopefully shorter than that. But I also have Templar videos coming out in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time with another video. Don't forget to subscribe and visit cypherpk.com for more PvP builds for the Elder Scrolls Online.